All right, also we gotta talk. I want to talk about something which really has been on my heart, which really the Lord has put on my heart. And the thing that I want to talk about that is very taboo in the Christian community is I want to talk about sexuality. Now, not sexuality in the context of the world, but sexuality in the biblical context. I want to talk about sexuality in terms of the thing that's a part of our humanity, the extension of our humanity that no one talks about, not no one talks about, or at least very few people talk about. And I think for me, as a young person and as someone who is growing up, I've really not had a lot of people pour into me in this area, teaching me the right way. It's really been a discovery process with God. I think starting out at first, it was a lot of sexuality is bad. You know, anything pertaining to that part of humanity is bad. It's disgusting and whatnot. But over time, it just started to not seem so like it started to seem like no way that view is not correct, and I came to realize that no, it's not a bad thing, that it is something that God has created, that God created human beings as sexual beings. A it is not a core defining thing for us, but it is an extension of our humanity. I don't know if I can relate that to a browser extension. It's an extension of our humanity, and it's something that can't be ignored because, in a sense, that's a part of us. It's an extension of our humanity as part of using the browser that is the body. Oh man. Anyways, it's part of the experience of being in this human body, and it's something that we have to learn to navigate well. And I just want to say this, and I don't know why it's taboo. I just want to say that it's not bad to have sexual desires as a human, and it's not bad to have a sexuality as a human, because it's good, and it's given to us by God for his glory. Now, the fact that in the world this thing is used for bad, that there are people that, that a lot of evil has come out of it, doesn't make it any less good, because what God intends for good, the devil also intends to use that very same thing. He's not very original. He tries to use the very same thing, but just outside of the lines that God has drawn, and that leads to destruction, it leads to death. And so for me, it's really come to discovering that, oh, wait, this is how my mind reacts to certain things, or this is how my body reacts to certain things, or like, oh, wait, that's a natural reaction, but we don't want this kind of reaction, not in this context. We don't want this kind of reaction in this context. We want it in the context of marriage. And it's really been a lot of learning there in that area. And if anything, I want you to leave with after watching this video is I want you to just realize that this is something, it's natural, it's God given, it's a gift, and it's not a bad thing. But you must come to the creator, you must come to the creator who has the manual, the instruction guide for how it should be carried out. And for me, I come to God with everything regarding this. I think the way that my mind reacts to certain things, and it's really led me to be honest with God about everything. To be honest with God about who I like, who I find attractive, all those sorts of things, and all of that, and just bringing it at the feet of God, and just remember, this is your God. He knows you better than you know yourself, so you can trust him with all of these things, and you can lay them at his feet. And I promise you that this has been one of the greatest joys of my life, to bring it at the feet of God, and then he can actually begin to direct it and tell you that, yeah, that's good, but not this way, that's good, but this is how you interact with the opposite gender and whatnot and stuff like that. And I just want to, I know there's kind of a lot. I've left room for different scenarios, so I haven't been very specific in this video because I want you guys to just understand, and especially us young Christians, to just understand that this is a gift that we've been given by God, and we have the responsibility to steward it well. And one thing to be careful of, especially, is that, especially when it pertains to very, very young people, is that the world also has its own brand, has put its own brand. Remember, I said the devil's not very original. It's put its own brand on sexuality, and it's twisted, and it's bad, and it leads to death. And that's why I really believe in that we young people should know about this, that the church should be talking about this, that Christians should be talking about this, that there needs to be more of there needs to be more room of this kind of thing being talked about in the Christian context, in the proper context. How do we steward it well? How do we live it out to the glory of God? Because this is something that we have uh, as a result of being in this human body, and it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. But the way that we use it, the way that we manage it, then determines whether it leads to a good result or a bad result. And I think a lot of times the devil comes, and he comes especially in this one area, and he tries to twist it, especially in this one area, which is why I think it's so key that we teach people who are younger than us, that we are taught, that even people who are younger than us are taught about this from the Christian context, from the God context, from the owner's context earlier on, because the world is also going to come and try to teach its own fake brand of sexuality, and it's not good, and it leads to death. Remember, God's placing before us life or death, and he says, choose life, so that you and your descendants may live. And so I just want to speak this and just say that, and just remind you that you have, each and every one of us, every human being, we've received this great gift from God, and we have the responsibility to steward it. It's not a terrible thing. And so when your mind or your body reacts a certain way to certain situations, remember that it's not a terrible thing. It's natural, but you need to manage it well. You need to bring it into the submission and the authority of Christ, that certain things can only be done for in the marriage context. And when you bring it under that submission of God, then there's even a joy. There's even a joy in the expectancy of marriage. There's even a joy in that this, I'm actually bringing my sexuality under God's authority, and it's gonna obey it. It's gonna bow under the authority of Christ. It's not gonna rule over me, and it's not gonna be a source of pain, but it's gonna be something that's for the glory of God. And that's the case with a lot of things. God has gifted us with with a lot of things that God has gifted us with. We have a responsibility to steward it well. So I hope this encourages you, especially if you're a young Christian. I hope it takes some stress off of you. I told you something that I just told you something that most people won't say to you, and yeah, I hope it blessed you. Yeah, that'll be all for this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Also, like, subscribe.